Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I've had to rip up my speech that I did at the weekend because we seem to have won a battle in the war, let's put it like that, with the price marking legislation that has been withdrawn and will come into operation, or maybe in a year and a half's time. Going back to the beginning, the Goods and Services Act, and it's important to include the word services, was backed in a way by Chamber on a sort of quid pro quo argument with the government, because when it comes to 2010 and the 0-10 policy, there is a black hole to be filled. And the only way, or one of the only ways of doing this, is by levying the tax. Now, Chamber has been always of the opinion that this was the least worst option. The government's angle was that we would have savings of 20 million. Where are they? Trust us, we've spent it and invested it, but there's no 20 million. Savings, not that we can tell anyway, and as far as we can tell, actually more. The £31 million surplus of last year has also been spent as well. There was also supposed to be a safety net, which hasn't happened, or we're waiting to hear how this is supposed to be put into operation for the less well-off in the island. The other point was the simplicity of the tax, which is why we've been very much in favour of an exclusive tax with the 3% added at the bill, so that everybody, consumers and everybody, can see that this is not retailers making an extra margin. This is the amount of money that we as unpaid tax collectors, that we have to do with ITIS as well and everything like this, a lot more administration of all sorts of businesses have to pay to the government. We're sort of at the stage now where there's a lot of groundswell of opinion within Chamber that we should actually abolish, we should go for the abolition of GST, or at least its further postponement. At the moment, we haven't reached that stage yet. We're still in discussions with various arms of government. We are not fully confident yet that there is actually an alternative solution to this. And all we have tried to do, and this is part of what I do on behalf of businesses, is to negotiate with government and government officials to make sure it is the cheapest possible option. And I think this is all very important, because most businesses in Jersey are small businesses like mine. The amount of time that you spend in doing paperwork for all sorts of activities. I mean, when ITIS came in the old days, at the end of 2005, I made one return for me and my sole member of staff. Now I actually have to do 12 returns and 12 payments. So instead of doing one piece of paper, I've got 24 pieces of paper to do. Now that isn't getting rid of red tape. And this is very much what will happen, or what could be happening, if we had an inclusive pricing system. Under the exclusive pricing that we are going to try to introduce next year, when GST comes in, I mean, it is the law now, so it's going to be I think, very difficult to stop. But the way we're trying to do this is to make it as simple as possible, and obviously, if there isn't a burden on business will not need to pass on any additional costs. GST is going to be inflationary, and that isn't going to help the cost of living and everybody's pay rises and wage settlements and this sort of thing. So really, just to sum up Chamber's position, we haven't yet reached the stage where we are going to say, let us go against GST, let us get rid of it, but we're trying to make it work in such a way, because in spite of everything that's been said, when we have the fiscal strategy and when we have 0-10, we can't see any other option. It is something that will be needed in 2010. Whether we need it in 2008 or 2010, I'm not sure. Government needs to cut its expenditure, which it's not doing. So as soon as we say to politicians, look, you haven't cut expenditure, they say, oh, there's the Chambers threatening to cut nurses and doctors, and that isn't what really we're talking about. What we're talking about is government expenditure is 548 million. There's about 370 million of essential services, health, social security, welfare, police, this sort of thing, which are functions of government. But there's a big wodge in the middle, and that is not being attacked at all. And that's the bit where the savings should come. And if those savings comes, there probably wouldn't be any need for GST, but those savings don't appear to have come, and therefore, we've tried this argument we've been negotiating with economic development, I think, since this was first came in nearly 2.5, 3 years ago. and we haven't got anywhere on this. So we have to accept the reality of the situation and in a way try to make the best of it. So, as I said, just to sum up, that's Chamber's position.